Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Arsenal Pass Time in the Round, episode 12. I'm Brendan Patrick, joined here with Hayden Dale. Hayden, how are you doing?
I'm good, thanks, Brendan. How are you?
I'm pretty good, dude. I know you're expecting a roast, but it's not coming yet. It's waiting for Tails. Once Tails comes, I'm going to be relentless. But Hayden, so something very exciting happened last weekend. Our man Hayden Dale here got his first Road to Nationals win. And what would a Road to Nationals win be? Sorry, without a Time in the Round tournament report. Hayden, take us into the mind of a champion.
Yeah, so I guess played my first two Road to Nationals in the past weekend. So just a bit of context, we're recording Time in the Round earlier this week because Brendan is off to Vegas this weekend. Usually we record on a Friday, but of course I'm very jealous because Brendan will be playing a Tales of Aria world premiere at that time. So instead we're recording a bit earlier this week. But yeah, just come off the back of a weekend of back-to-back Road to Nationals, online Road to Nationals. I think I'd already spoken about this last week and maybe the week before that, with the current situation here, we're still in a lockdown. So LSS allowed Australian stores to run any Road to Nationals that hadn't been run yet as online events. So that actually resulted in 4 Road to Nationals over the weekend. Unfortunately, they all had to be done in the weekend, which, I get it from LSS's side. They probably don't want Road to Nationals being run on the Vegas weekend. There's a lot of things happening. I'm sure Gem's a consideration of one of those. I'm sure there's a lot of considerations. So they wanted the events to be done. So didn't get to play, as many as I would have liked to have played, but still got to play 2, which was great from, an online perspective. Played 1 on Saturday. So the Saturday event comes around. I think it was about 56 players or something. It was just shy of 7 rounds. So it was a big 6-rounder. Actually lost my first round. So I actually got paired up with a player who I believe listens to the pod as well and knew us, but he played very well. Was on a Katsu mid-range deck. He put a lot of pressure on me early on, then just really sort of fatigued the in-game out. I was playing Chain for context as well, so I was playing our Chain list. Very similar to the list that Brendan won the last Road to Nationals with. I think it's about 1 or 2 cards different. So very interesting start to the day. Felt very rusty playing in my first event in a very long time with that first rounder. Managed to win the next 4, headed into the last round, and unfortunately lost the last round to bubble out at 9th. So I got paired into a Sabres Bolton in round 6 and got the old turn 4 triple Lumina landed against me, which was a pretty exciting game. I'd actually been recording most of my games through the day, and I actually forgot to record that one. It was against one of our local players, Tom, who is a very good player. Was in our sort of draft group for testing for the calling, and he just absolutely slammed me with these triple Lumina combo. So yeah, that was a bit of fun. Ended up bubbling 9th. Headed into Sunday though. Was confident, feeling very good. Decided to run Chain back. I did have consideration to play Katsu or Levia. I really wanted to play the Levia deck. One of the things I found on the Saturday after playing that online event was that it was actually really mentally draining to be playing an online event. Just like having to really immerse yourself in like the screen. It was a lot more difficult to like track what my opponent was doing in terms of their graveyard, their pitch. I was having to focus a lot more on that than I would in a normal event where I can just sort of take it in all in front of me while still thinking about my turn. I was actually really tired on Saturday. Decided I didn't want to be playing a deck that, in my opinion, in Levia is like one of the most difficult decks to play right now in an online event. So just ran back the Chain deck. Felt comfortable after the 6 rounds on day 1. Felt like I'd sort of made a mistake in round 1 a little bit. Sort of learned from that. Wanted to play it again. Went through, lost I think my second to last round, so X1 into top 8. Played a Brute in top 8 who actually tried to fatigue me, which was really interesting. I had actually hedged sideboarded for just in case he had done that, and still was able to manage to get through that pretty reasonably comfortably. I had a pretty big in-game setup with like multiple Seeping Shadows and Refines and stuff, and enough life to sort of see that out over a couple of turns. Semi-finals was a Chain Mirror. Actually, the one player that had beaten me in Swiss. I did a bit of a Brennan Patrick. I had lost my Swiss to a Chain Mirror, who did some pretty big damage with a flock build. Brought the CNCs in for the semi-finals and managed to hit some pretty good Command and Conquer turns and just consistent play. And then actually played, and people will be excited about this. I was definitely excited about it. I played a Ranger in the final. So I played into Azalea in the final. It's pretty interesting talking to my opponent before. He said that he had just managed to dodge Chain all day. He wasn't looking forward to the matchup. He played a lot of decks. Like there was a lot of dash in the event. A lot of dash sort of like mid-range aggro decks, not control decks. And and he was able to beat. Actually, I think in the quarterfinals, he beat a Dash player. Who's I think he actually beat Nick Butcher in the quarterfinals on Azalea. So that was interesting. I have to go back and look at that. It could have been either Nick or Matt Clark, who's another very good Australian player. They're both on Dash decks that were sort of quite aggressive. So he was able to punish some of those decks. He also did the same to like a Bolton in the semifinals. So we played in the semifinal. Actually, a pretty close game. Like he played it very tight, very good. He's played Azalea, I think, since day one. Knows the deck inside and out. Was able to put as much pressure on as possible. But yeah, just managed to get through and take the road to nationals. So it was a really cool event. It was really good to sort of engage with like the guys and a lot of the players that I haven't been seeing in real life, in person for such a long time, but still being able to play games and had some really, really close games. And actually that top 8 was a lot harder than I was expecting, considering the sort of the matchups I played into, I think.
Yep. Awesome. Well, congratulations, Hayden. Congratulations on your win. Congratulations on your invite. I'm sure that is some stress off your shoulders, although I know you're prepared to qualify other ways in case you didn't get the road to nationals, but luckily you did. So, and of course you're able to win one. So that's awesome. I'm excited for you. That's good.
Always nice to get it done. I didn't want to have to grind out XP, although, I was prepared to if I had to, but getting 2 road to nationals, I felt like I had enough a shot with those 2 road to nationals to get an invite. So yeah, all things good. But anyway, Brendan, we're walking into, the calling this weekend. I have a couple of questions to throw your way, actually. You're heading to Vegas on Thursday. What's your sort of, what are you expecting the weekend to look like from your side? And obviously we're a lot closer now, about what's going to happen. What are you doing in the last week? Like, how much testing are you going to do? What does your travel look like? You're playing the world premiere, obviously. Like, what does that look like for you heading into the weekend?
Yeah, so I was slightly feeling under the weather for like 2 days last week. So actually didn't have as much testing as I wanted to leading up to this week, or at least Sunday and now Monday. But obviously we have this morning testing, and then I've added on at least 3 hours additional a day. And most of that is just grinding like control matchups, right? Because they're easy, but it's all about repetition. So just grinding those out, making sure I know my game plan. And, I think we did something that was really helpful, which is like something probably should have done months ago. So we kind of just really visualized like the math in terms of like how the chain deck plays out and the pitch plays out. And that's going to help quite a bit. But yeah, I mean, what was the rest of that question? Sorry, I'm so distracted because somebody in the last time around said that they counted my suppressed yawns, and I did like 15 while you were talking. And I just can't stop doing it. I think it's something with like when I close my mouth, I just like freaking yawn.
So I get it. I get it. You're bored with me. I get it. Yeah, cool.
I was like, dude, this guy's gonna roast me on this one because I just couldn't stop doing it. What was the next part of that?
Brendan, you can tell that Brendan clearly listens to me. I have to repeat myself a lot to Brendan, especially in testing. Just about what the weekend looks to you. Obviously, your testing is ramping up this week. You're trying to get in a lot of last minute testing, some of the matchups that you want to shore up. But what does it look like heading into you're playing the world premiere, you're traveling?
Yeah, for sure. So just quickly on the testing, like definitely not doing last minute. Like I think like adding in like 2-3 hours a day is like just like a reasonable way to like get in more games, but also not overdo it. I feel like super confident in terms of like our deck, our theory, and our practice, and I'm confident taking that. Performance and execution is a different thing. So yeah, going into this event, like I'm super excited. I fly out on Thursday, which is really nice. Taking Friday off, and I'll get in there in the afternoon. So Thursday gonna keep it pretty chill. Probably walk Dante around Vegas. He's never been before. Take him to some nice places. Take him to like Little Venice. Sit by the fake waterway with the guy on the boat. Me and him are just gonna eat some nice Italian food. Maybe have our smooch with the what do you call
Lady
it?
in the Tramp.
Yeah, there you go. So that's gonna be Thursday, romantic night. And then it's chill. Wake up Friday, and we got the world premiere, which is like the thing I'm most excited for. Which I think is
that's cool.
Probably not correct to be most excited for that. I really want to win the event, but like playing Tales of Aria world premiere, first time playing the set, kind of like so much being unknown by the time we get there, and just everybody being so hyped for this. What we've been told is an incredible limited set. Yeah, I don't know if much is going to top that. So I'm really, really excited. And for Friday, like honestly, like I'm not dumb, so I'm not going to party like Friday or Saturday night whatsoever. So I'll probably be taking an early night, waking up, and then it's just grind the event. I did hear some funny statistics. Not really funny. I mean, it's pretty much expected, but kind of like what kind of record you have to make day 2. And it's unforgiving, to say the least. It's definitely unforgiving. So
It's X1, right?
yeah, it's X1. And yeah, it's just, I mean, like if we kind of pull back on like Road to Nats and just all of those, like how I've played so far in the season, like it seems very reasonable, very doable, and I feel confident. That being said, like Monarch is not the best format to have to be X1 to go to day 2 because, you know, we got all these funky decks. Speaking of, we do have a video that probably went out before this one, which is details the Saber Bolton deck. A very popular deck, very popular in Europe, and now popular in America, winning a lot of events. And people actually playing that deck to counter Chain. Hayden and I have a little bit of a different belief. We actually think Chain is probably one of its hardest matchups in the entire format. Once you understand what the combo is, you understand how to block it, and you understand how it's assembled, and by what turn you kind of need to be, going fast. It's very, very doable. You can even get hit by the combo and win the game. I know I tangented a bit, Hayden, but hopefully I answered your question.
No, I was just thinking, if you are taking the Saber Bolton deck, I would recommend on the Friday night before you head into the event, you just head down to the craps table as well and just throw your dice down there as well. I mean, why not? No,
nice.
I'm mostly kidding. I find it a very frustrating deck to play, just especially into the Chain matchup. It feels like rolling dice a little bit, but no, I mean, you also make sure
on the Bolton side, right?
Yeah, on the Bolton side, yeah. If you're as well, just make sure that you've got the curfew set for Dante. Make sure that he is tucked into bed by 10 p.m. and he gets his rest. You get your beauty sleep. Make sure you condition your hair.
Me and Miss Delfico, we had a talk, and yeah, Dante's. We got a little bit of house rules for him. Can't stay up past 9 p.m. Got to make sure he eats his veggies, but he's good. I think that he'll be able to behave in Vegas, honestly. But like all jokes aside, we're both definitely going to win, and I'm happy that I'm able to, room with Dante and be with him for the event.
You're both gonna win.
I mean that's a different story, but I think that we'll definitely achieve our goals one way or another. So we'll see.
Yeah. No, good to hear. And in terms of what is it? Are you staying longer in Vegas? Are you just heading straight out after the event?
Yeah, I am staying longer, which I think is a luxury I'm very happy to have. So coming in on Thursday, so not coming in the day of, which would be kind of ridiculous for Friday, and then staying till Monday. So leaving Monday afternoon, which is real nice. So the way Vegas works is they try to get you on the flights. They make you fly in super late. If you don't, the flights are essentially double. I booked with points, so I avoided that in a sense. But like they'll make you leave Vegas at like 6 to like 7 a.m. It's ridiculous. But yeah, luckily I did get that afternoon flight out. I did that one time. I went to Vegas for like some affiliate conference, and I just booked the cheapest flights because I was like, I was in like a smaller company, and like, we were kind of starting it out. So I was like, oh, be economical, be nice. Oh God, it was the worst decision I've ever made, dude. I had to leave at 5 a.m. on Sunday. It was terrible.
The whole thing, right? They all work together. You either get the early flight and it's the worst thing in the world, or the flights don't start until after, like significantly after checkout time. So, they like incentivize you to like get another day at the hotel. And
do you know when check-in is in Vegas, by the way?
It's like
for most hotels.
It's like 2 or 3 p.m. Is it? It's like really late.
Freaking late, dude. It's really late. It's like 3 p.m. plus.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah.
When I flew in there one time in the morning, I think I got in at like 8 or 9 a.m. and I went to my hotel and I didn't know that. And yeah, I sat in the lobby for like 5 hours. Well, eventually I dropped my bags off. I didn't really. Well, I was there on work, so I didn't really know what the heck I was supposed to be doing. So I was actually waiting for the people that I was there with, because they were there the day before me, to like wake up and like tell me like what to do.
Yeah,
yeah, it's weird. Vegas is a weird place, but definitely don't get there too early if you're expecting a check-in on a reasonable time, because that does not happen.
Yeah. I actually wanted to. I was going to say, yeah, I've had the same experience. I actually managed to get an earlier check-in. I thought ahead of this, like the last time I was in Vegas, and was like, specifically want to make sure we get an early check-in, because we had plans like for the day as well, and we're like, okay, I want to make sure we get an early check-in, because we want to go and do everything we're going to do, and then the next morning we were like going to go and like take a flight over the Grand Canyon in a helicopter. So we're like, we have to get up like friggin' 5 a.m. or some shit for that. So. And we're like, let's make sure we get the early check-in, get stuff done we want to do on the first day, and then get a reasonable night's sleep, which you're in Vegas is real difficult to get a reasonable night's sleep in Vegas. Yeah. But yeah, interesting. I wanted to, we're recording this early, so I usually we talk about spoilers or preview cards that have just come out in the past 2 days between the podcast and Time in the Run. We're actually recording Time in the Run prior to the podcast this week. Look behind the scenes there. So one of the things I did want to talk about, though, is just the idea of the limited format. So when Time Around drops, we are going to drop Time Around a day earlier this week, just so that if people are heading into Vegas, they can maybe, I don't know, watch this on the first night or whenever you want to see it anyway. But I did want to talk about just limited in general and some of my observations, I guess, from this limited format so far. And this is probably going to pertain a bit more to draft, but I'd love to hear your thoughts, Brendan. But I was just thinking about this the last sort of day. It's really interesting that we have 3 heroes, right, in this limited format. Mm-hmm. And we have 3 elements. It adds a really interesting dynamic to what this limited format is going to look like. And I've heard some people say, we'll just read a few things, a few comments. People are a bit concerned about what this looks like with 3 heroes. Does that mean at a draft table, you're going to have two people on one hero and then 3 people on each of the other 2 heroes? That sounds like it could be a bit imbalanced. That could be very difficult to balance on the table. But I think one of the kind of the great things about this draft format in limited is that you're going to have the elements, and just because one hero is drafted by 3 players doesn't mean both players are going to be or 3 players are going to fight over the exact same cards. And that's because you have the different elements, right? So let's take Lexi, for example. You've got 3 people drafting Lexi. You could very likely have one person drafting a much more sort of ice orientated, versus the lightning orientated Lexi. You could end up with, five ice players versus frost players versus 3 lightning players. So you could end up with this cross section where I think it's actually going to add a really interesting dynamic where we saw it similar to Monarch, that you want to stay open with your light or shadow cards. I think it's going to be very similar with what we see with this one with Tales of Aria, where it's like, okay, well, like elemental cards are just good cards, right? Like every deck can play the basic elemental cards, but what am I looking at in terms of if I'm starting to get into that pie, like that sort of quadrant of these 2 heroes? So maybe I'm starting to look at just like the best Earth cards. Okay, well now I'm in the quadrant of insert new hero's name here and all time. Like at what point do I start to read what's happening from my right and start to move into maybe one or the other? I think it's actually going to be a super, super interesting format. It actually adds Monarch added a second layer to some of that draft aspect. This adds a third layer, I think, as well, which is really cool.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of layers, I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about this is a really hard topic. I don't know if I have any thoughts on this.
You don't have to.
How much does 3 heroes affect the sealed versus draft form? I mean, sealed will be interesting. Sealed, I think, I don't know if the World Premiere has draft. I think it's just sealed.
It is just sealed, yeah.
Yeah, so that's interesting. It seems like it could be nicer for sealed in a way, because I don't know, it kind of seems like it'd be a sucker to have more cards to pick from and more flexibility in your class with like the dual talents and also the 3 classes, so -1 class. Does seem like it would make sealed probably better rather than worse.
More consistent.
For draft, I mean, I have no idea. That's a tough can to open. It's hard to say at this point. All right, it's really got to get a feel for like what the other cards look like. Like if you have a deck that's mostly talent cards, and there's no, let's say you get cut out of you're playing a ranger, you get cut out of ranger, but you have 4, let's say 4 to 7. Kind of sounds like a lot now, but like how bad is your deck compared to the person who got more ranger cards? Like what is the power level difference versus like class cards versus talent cards, like talent card based decks? And what does that look like? I feel like it's really hard to, you can't speculate, right?
I mean, we were talking about, we won't speculate, but one thing I will say from the cards we have seen, so not just speculation, but the elemental cards, so the earth element, the ice element, whatever, each of the 3 quadrants, those are 3 sections. Sorry, those I think they do have some like really solid power to them, and I think that what you're going to find is that because of the 3, the 3 and then the 3 heroes, that you're actually going to have, I think, more consistent sealed pools, to be honest, which I'm okay with. But what I think it means is that it's actually going to make deck building a bit harder. There's going to be less clear lines of like, yes, like I should play this hero. I have the most powerful cards in this. There could be a lot of like, okay, I have really powerful ice cards, but then the support structure around my ice, I could theoretically go like either way on Lexi or Old Time, and I think that's going to be where the intricacy comes in. And like I just saw like Evergreen was just spoiled yesterday, which is
I wish that thing blocked for 3, dude.
Oh, that would I don't. That card would be stupid.
I know. I saw it and I was like, what? It's blocked for 3? And then there was like, by the way, people not aware, there was like a mess up with the digital asset, and it said blocked for 3, but it actually blocked for 2.
Yeah, I think by mess up with the digital asset, I think that card originally blocked for 3, and I think they changed it to 2. Because I think
it doesn't really happen, right? Like you can't just like. I mean, who would have a digital asset of our card and just like accidentally put two? I mean, it's an image, right? Like
Yeah.
it's weird. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, if that card actually did defend for 3, you go, okay, this you play it out of Arsenal early. If it makes the red, yellow, and blue all very, very good for different reasons. So the blue, obviously, you play it out of Arsenal, come in for 5. You have a block 3 blue that attacks with 5 on the bottom of your deck, which also helps with the fact that as a slower game, maybe fatigue becomes an issue at some point. That's also just like super, super good, especially if you can do that another time. You're kind of like, it's not drone of brutality, but it is a little bit of like kind of bake your own drone a little bit to some degree. Whereas blocking for 2, that makes it a bit more difficult. It incentivizes you to really attack with the first time, but you do need to be careful with it when it goes to the bottom. Because actually, if you attack with the blue one, say for instance, out of Arsenal, and it goes to the bottom, if that's going to sit in with a bunch of other blues, that could be a bit of a liability. Whereas if it's the only blue, maybe then perfect. That's really good. Now you've pitched a yellow to play. Blue to play it. You've played the red, for instance, out of Arsenal. Like that's another 7 attack at the bottom of your deck. That threat density, you're just increasing your threat density by 1 if it's the red version. So I really like this card. I'm glad it doesn't defend for 3 though. I think it would be very, very powerful. But anyway, I guess my point was that there's some really powerful element-specific cards, which is really cool. I think that's.
It is very cool.
Balances the power level across the class cards as well. I would say, there's some very, very strong class cards. And just in general, the limited format just looks super exciting. There's a lot less, I guess, vanilla stuff. There's a lot less sort of impact of the effects of the element happening, like we saw with like the Frostfang. We're going to see these across the Earth cards as well. We're probably going to see a few more from the Lightning side. We haven't seen too many from the Lightning side so far, but I imagine once we get this new hero, which is the second Lightning hero, then we'll see more of those and just see what effects those have. We've already seen some really cool impacts of what the first 2 elements and Frost and Lightning to an extent do with Lexi. So it's going to be cool to see what the sort of the other side of Lightning is.
So I've decided I want to make us both look like idiots.
Oh, here we go.
Like we talked about, we're recording on Monday. We're recording on Monday, 6 p.m. CST.
I know what you're going to say.
Yeah, you know what I'm going to say. 6 p.m. CST. This is going to be released on Thursday. So by Thursday, we'll know the next hero, but we do not right now. So
Brendan can't even get the schedule right. I was just going to say, you can't even, this will actually be Friday when it comes out, but that's...
I mean, you said it was Thursday early. But anyway, for the sake of looking dumb in the future, Hayden, give me your final lock-in on what the new class is and why you think it is that. You got to give me the name, too. It's going to be the correct
I'm going to give you the name of the hero?
No. Just the class. You can't be like, it's like a lightning. It's like an ally-based class, but you don't give me the name. You got to give me the name.
Dude, I thought the whole point of us not speculating was so we don't look silly, but okay. I think from what we've seen so far, we know. I think the how LSS do the alphabetical order of their classes and set reveals, and sort of in the preview page, that it has to be after Ranger. So I think the best bet right now is to say it's going to be a Shaman. I think is probably the best bet. I've been hearing whispers of Shapeshifter though, which I don't know.
There's a lot of Shapeshifter. That'd be interesting. Yeah. So there are actually 4 S's
in the book.
So there's 3 S's. There's 3 potential S's here, unless there's one I don't know about. But it's tough to be like, yeah, it's probably like between these 2 letters because, like, I don't know. We've got a lot of hints going in certain directions, but like there's Shaman, there's Summoner, and there's Shapeshifter. I mean, that's 3 classes that are all kind of on my higher tier list. I'm thinking, so you're locked in at Shaman. Okay,
sure.
So we know there's a bunch of tokens. All right, there's a lot of tokens in the set, unless I said that and then other people are regurgitating it and it's wrong. If it is, Dante told me. But yeah, so I think that it could be an ally-based class, right? Like expand on the Ursur and Blasphemous concept, and now we have a class that primarily deals in allies. And this would, so if we're looking at the actual design of the set as a whole, it looks like the set is kind of anti-go wide, right? There's a lot of tax, there's a lot of all this kind of stuff that messes up these decks that play 5-card hands and go wide. So if the meta responded and just there was a bunch of go tall decks, I think that an ally-based class would be quite good into go tall, right? If you had like these allies where you'd want to have go again and kind of clear multiple ones off the board during a turn cycle, then that could be a nice mechanic to kind of keep us in check from going too tall in our next format. That being said, I'm mostly calling on the tokens, the art, the lore, and that makes me think that we could potentially have a summoner, or it could be called a shaman. But yeah, shapeshifter is also very, very. It's kind of up there, right? Like I also think that's a possibility. Maybe the tokens are something you put over your hero when you shapeshift into like a different form, like bear form or tree form or whatever you want to do. Maybe in like World of Warcraft verse right now. But I'm gonna lock in summoner. God, I hate the name. I don't think that it's gonna be named that, but I'm just gonna lock in an ally-based class. It's funny that I was looking on the Discord, which is rare for me, and I was looking at the card reveals discussion. Everybody was like, "Oh, wizard confirmed because of the legendary chess piece having arcane barrier." It's like, no, I don't think so.
Yeah. I think at legendary,
arcane barrier on a legendary is
it's fine.
well, actually, anything written on a legendary is probably some of the most irrelevant information for the set that you could get, right? Unless it's like an Arcanite shard, then it's like, yeah, maybe we'll get a Runeblade.
Well, yeah, I think it's. I mean, the piece about the legendary one, if it is a wizard, right? I'm surprised. It feels like we haven't seen anything that interacts well with that so far, but it could be a wizard that interacts differently. I mean, we haven't seen any spell void or anything, but yeah, I would have.
Well,
maybe...
they did hide that from us. Let's not forget. In Monarch, they did hide that spell void. I remember when I first saw that. It was actually on the dev stream, or not stream, it was a YouTube video, I think. Could have been a stream. But I was like, what the heck is that?
Oh, the gloves or something? Yeah.
Yeah, at first it was in the Blitz. I actually think it was in the Blitz deck. We saw it. It was like, what is that piece of armor? Spell void. But we had already had Runeblade by that time. But yeah, I'm going to lock in Summoner. You're going to lock in Shaman. Everybody who's watching knows we're idiots by now because it's something totally different. But yeah,
this is why we don't do it. And then you put the video out afterwards, and then this is why, as you can tell right now, why me and Brendan stick to like gameplay and more competitive content, and focusing on getting better at the game and leveling up and key and core concepts. Because as far as speculation goes, I'm terrible at it, and Brendan's slightly better than terrible. So
yeah, like soon though, I'm telling you guys, with how YouTube goes, and just once this job becomes a full-time YouTube, we're gonna be in top 10 like cutest characters in Fab. You name it, we'll do it. We'll sell out. So not too long here, but Hayden, do you have anything else before we close this one out?
No, I just keep thinking about Tales of Aria, and Limited is something that I love the limited format. I think we've talked about it many times. I'll say it again. I love draft. I love sealed. So as more and more of these cards get previewed and spoiled, that's the thing that I'm most focused on right now. I think in terms of we think about the Arsenal Pass channel and what our content's going to look like from next week and the following week. We really are going to focus for the interim weeks as Tales of Aria comes out on Limited and what that looks like. We have our set review coming up next week, as we did for Monarch. That'll be out before the pre-release, so you get probably about 24 hours to 40 hours before the pre-release. So if you are going, you'll have the set review to have a listen to and get our thoughts on the cards and where we think the power kind of lies. We will also talk a little bit about, once we've seen all the heroes, just the mechanics and how to maybe approach and build those heroes for week one and sealed. And then as well, we'll definitely make sure that we'll be looking at constructed as well. So any sort of decks or really, I guess, first ideas that we have, we'll probably share those as well. So that's kind of what the next few weeks are going to look like. And yeah, just really excited. I'm hoping, I did ask Brendan if he would wear a GoPro on his head for the Tales of Aria premiere, but he declined. He said it would mess up his hair, so I'm just gonna have to live with it.
That's absolutely false. Hayden said, "Oh, I heard you're rooming with Dante. Will you wear a GoPro on your head?" That was how it ended. But no. Anyway, just want to do a little quick fun fact because it came to my mind when Hayden said it. Arsenal Pass was actually first pitched as a fully limited podcast, nothing else. No constructed, no talking about, what do we like, what do we don't like. Literally just straight limited review, and then weekly limited stuff. Obviously, we pivoted a bit. But like I said, we'll sell out to anything. So we do constructed now. A couple months in the future, we'll be doing top 10 cutest heroes. So you just wait. But anyway, I can hear that bell ringing. That's active player turn 0, one additional turn.
It's time in the round.
That's time in the round.